It is officially the end of an era as the shock announcement last week that Jurgen Klopp will step down as Liverpool boss at the end of this season. Over 450 games in charge. Today, we are talking all things Klopp. The real reason we believe he's leaving. Is he a Prem legend potentially? Who's going to replace him? There is a lot to get through in this episode, so stay tuned. Let's go. Hello and welcome to the Lost in Possession podcast. If you're here for the first time, please do consider hitting that subscribe button. Absolutely free, and it is free weekly football content. Without further ado, let's crack on. Klopp is on everyone's lips at the minute, in every media outlet, on every YouTube channel. So let's join in. Reese, we'll come to you first. What is the real reason? We've promised it in the subject line here. What do you believe the real reason he's leaving?
I think it's exactly what he said. I think he is burnt out. I mean, in today's football world, he's been there a long time, by any stretch of the imagination, he's been there a long time, been a constant presence, constant, he's obviously he doesn't get the winter break like he did in Germany. He's got busy summers. He's probably had no time to relax. And I think he is probably knackered. He probably does need a rest. Pep Guardiola wanted a rest before he joined City. So I think that's it. And in some ways, how much more can he achieve with Liverpool? He'll probably win a couple more trophies this season. His job's done. And on top of that as well, he has to probably have another rebuild process coming up. He's done it with the midfield, but a lot of his team now, quite a lot of the team, Robertson, Allison, Gomez, Salah, um, you know, they're late 20s, early 30s now. He's got to rebuild it again. And can he guarantee the success like that? He probably can't. He probably just knows he's reached that peak and it's time for it to be passed on.
Okay, Jamie, what's the real reason?
He's cracking under the pressure that he's got to now do another title race with Pep. That's what it is. He can't take it anymore. The pressure's getting to him. No, I'm joking, really. But look, I've seen the reports where he said that he was gonna, I think, retire, like quit last season, but his wife managed to convince him to stay another year. So it's been on his mind for a while, and so I don't think this is like a rash decision from him. But I do feel like nowadays football isn't just I'm managing the team, picking the 11, that's it, on to the next game. It's relentless where it's going to be on his mind every minute of 95% of days. So it's going to take a toll on anyone. Obviously, you got to remember it still is a luxury position. We'd all quite like a managerial job, getting paid what he was getting paid. So I'd say there's a lack of sympathy for being burnt out, where other people will have harder jobs than him. But really, I think it is just the pressure of everything. I know I joked about sort of saying he's cracking under Pep title race, but things like that do take it out of you. Like, and you need a massive break at the end. So I think he knows if he said he was going to quit last season, having another season, you're just going to be even more. I don't know. Deflated is the only word I can sort of think of, but maybe not quite deflated. But it's just sort of like it can take it out of you. I don't know how old he is, but it's not like he's one of the youngest managers in the Prem. So it's something that could just catch up to him sort of in age, where he also might be like, you know what, I've earned enough money. I want to go now live somewhere complete sunshine and not in England in Liverpool where it rains quite a lot and it's also bloody freezing right now. So yeah, I think there's a few things on it, and just overtired will be one of them. He's been in it for what 9 years. It's a long stint.
Yeah, I don't disagree, to be honest. I think the real reason is he's tired of the bullshit. He's tired of it all. So that to some degree, that is what he said. Obviously, the quote that is going to be now a meme. I'm running out of energy. So I guess it tight. I don't think he's necessarily physically tired though. I personally just think it is a bit of what you said: the pressure of the job, the pressure of the media, the pressure of all the sort of BS that's coming into football. Heavily, look, he's been there and done it at every club, but being heavily scrutinised every single day, every single minute of your life as a manager. And although we say, oh, the money this, the money that, and yes, they do, they're in a privileged position. Pressure is a privilege is another great quote. Eventually it catches up to you. And there's only, the money aside, when you're earning as much as he is, after 8 years of earning that money, personally, I think the money isn't even a factor anymore. That might sound ridiculous, but when you've got that much money, is another whatever he's on a week, doesn't really do it. At this point, I genuinely don't think he's in the job for the money.
No, the money's irrelevant for Klopp. You think, right, you can
Yeah,
earn all that money, but it's like he says, he wants to go see the world. He doesn't really get to see it. You know, the summer holidays where he gets his break.
yeah.
In England, you get that winter break, really. We had that little one a couple of weeks ago, but he doesn't, so he only has the summer. So even then, he just wants to go on holiday. If he goes on tour with the team, they're there just to do the tour and do media work, and then he goes home, thinks about football, goes to work, thinks about football. You don't get a break. You can earn all the money you want. Some people love it and breathe it, but you want to have a life. This is why Ferguson, I think, was very successful. He knew where to switch off. Wenger did not. And look what happened to him towards the end and his legacy. Klopp probably
Yeah.
knows this is the right time.
Well, I think the right time would have been last season. And as you said, I think as you both mentioned, he was potentially looking at stepping down last year. And I think that probably would have been a slightly better time in the sense that they did this midfield, rebuild, and it felt like the end of an era. I mean,
I,
it
I
still does now, but
I disagree because of where they finished. Sort of like now it looks like they're going to get at least top four finish. They can like they're in the title race. That's a bet. I think he can end his season. He can end his career at Liverpool better if he does that this season. If he has a title race, rather than finishing what was it, fifth or sixth last season, where you're getting Europa place in. That's where I think it's possibly. And he's also, I think he cares about Liverpool, so he's not leaving them in a complete rebuild stage where, like Reese was saying, you've got your veterans there who have done Klopp great. Not all of them have to be replaced. It's sort of now you've done the midfield. You might need another midfielder, but you've got one centre back, a right winger kind of scenario. It's not a full rebuild where if you bring in a new manager, it could be like chaos. Really, for a new manager trying to set up his own style of play and got to try and sign like 6 or 7 players, I think that would have left Liverpool in a worse state. And then Klopp would have been slightly blamed, a bit like how Ferguson was blamed at when he left, because he left it perfect for Ferguson, but not so great for United, and United have suffered since. There are other reasons for it, but it could have been in that scenario.
yeah, yeah. To be honest, I think that's a fair point, and he'll know. Yeah, he maybe he knew anyway that Liverpool are capable, and they're proving it already. They're capable of doing more than what they did last season. Um, I guess as well, just to go back to your point, Reese, about the money, it's like it's more of a wider debate rather than a football debate. But you're earning all this money. Like, what is the point of earning money? To go and enjoy your life. And although yes, you've got people like Roy Hodgson still going, he'll be a manager till he drops. Maybe I don't know, but you're earning this money to live your life and to do the things in life you want. So you almost can't blame him. And it's quite interesting that in the same week you've also had Xavi, absolute legend of the game, step down at Barcelona. And again, if you look into his words and you read between the lines, it's the weight of the pressure at Barcelona. It's the weight of the media. It's the weight of you can't you can't eat your lunch without having cameras on you. You can't do anything without being scrutinized heavily unless your team's winning 5-0 every week. So I do think this is a trend we're going to probably see now across um, a lot of different leagues and countries. So yeah, I think let's move on to Klopp's status and where his legacy sits. Because there's been a lot of arguments for and against this. That the four is obviously Liverpool absolute guaranteed legend, one of the greats of all time. You've got some rival fans saying, yeah, what's he won? Has he won that? Obviously, he's won it all, but has he won that much? Where do you guys stand on that? Is he an absolute bona fide Prem legend?
Yeah, to me, he is. I think this guy came in. If you look at how when Mourinho first came to English football, that awe, that charisma, that personality, Klopp brought a different kind of personality. He brought something that I think, he didn't look like a watered down manager. He looked like somebody who was clearly passionate, has his own way of doing things. He brought a charisma and he's backed it up. His work at Dortmund and Mainz was actually so, so good. You don't realize how bad, even Dortmund were before he took the job. But the trophies and the success speak for himself. He doesn't have the money access to him, like, for example, Man City or Man United. He's made players better players. Look at Salah. We knew Salah was a decent player, but we didn't think he was this good. He's made players 10 times better, and he's had them competing. He's had them winning trophies and competing, or at least getting to semi-finals and finals. He got to, he's been in, what was it? Is it 3 Champions League finals with Liverpool, winning 1? You can't knock that. You can't knock that at all. He's done more than what most managers have done, in his whole career. I think people are very quick to laugh at, a couple of seasons ago when they were on for the quad and they won 2. They won 2 trophies. They won 2 more than what Arsenal did. They won 2 more than what Man United did. Won 2 more than what Spurs did. They won 2 more that Chelsea did. I think they beat you twice in 2
Yeah,
finals.
don't remind me. Coin flip Klopp, I called him, winning on pens only.
Still did it. He still delivers. Do you know what I mean? And he's changed the mentality at Liverpool. That club was a shambles, really, before he. Shambles is a harsh word, but club was in disarray with some of the appointments they were making, the signings they were making. He's actually taken it to the next level now and actually left it in safe hands. Whoever comes in probably can't mess it up in comparison to what other, long-term sort of managers tend to have.
I think there's a distinction between Premier League legend and a Liverpool legend, though, with this, because like Reece said, he's been in 3 Champions League finals in 8 seasons. That's a very, very good record. Okay, he's won 1 out of 3. That's not as good, but he still got there. I think he lost in the Europa League final. He's lost in the League Cup final. So he's getting to these finals at least. They're competing for the trophies. He's come second to City a few times in the title race. Got 97 points and didn't win the league. Kind of, it's ridiculous of how close he is to actually having such a ridiculous record. But then you've also got to think of, actually, he's won 1 Premier League, and I think that's where you said people are seeing it on the other side. Winning only 1 Premier League, Ranieri did that with Leicester. Does that make him a better Premier League legend than Klopp? It's all like, if you take it just off the 1 trophy, Ranieri's title win is more impressive than Klopp's. Even though Klopp, they got 99 points, is absolutely fantastic. It's sort of like, can you take it in aspects like that, context? So that's where I think people argue that it's not as good as what Liverpool fans will make you believe, that he's sort of like, one of the best managers of all time.
My counter argument to that, though, is even if he's only won 1, which again is 1 more than most managers, he stopped you running away with it every single year. Even if he's only won 1, he's pushed you to the limit. How many times? 3, 4 times to get that record points and still not win it. Otherwise, let's be honest, the gap from City and the rest would be insanely huge. It would be getting to PSG levels of that sort of gap. So
yeah, like
I think he's pushed you to the limit. He's pushed you to the limit. Again, I draw parallels to Klopp and Wenger. Pushed Ferguson to the limit, pushed Pep to the limit, the established to the limit. Even if he didn't do a double or regain it back or, that sort of thing, he still pushed to the limit with a different style and a different persona.
Yeah, he'll definitely be remembered well, regardless of whether you want to call him a Prem legend or not. Like he's raised the bar for the Premier League, as has Pep. and we credit Pep with that all the time, raising the bar. So although, yes, he's only won one Prem and it was behind closed doors, ironically, he does deserve a lot of credit. Liverpool legend, no question. But I do, in terms of all-time Prem managers, I think there's another debate. Would he get the top? Would he be in the top 3, 4, 5? Possibly not.
I think, to be fair, I think I can name it, and I don't think many people can argue. It will be Ferguson top, Pep should be second. I think the biggest debate is if you have Mourinho or Wenger, and then it probably will be Klopp. I think Klopp will be fifth in that list. I don't think there's much argument on the top four because all four of them are the only ones who have won it more than once. Mourinho and Wenger have both won it 3 times, and then you've got Ancelotti, Conte, Mancini, Pellegrini, Ranieri, as I mentioned, and Dalglish have all won it once. And like what you said there, we're pushing the City sort of all the way, getting, like I said, 99 points when he won it, ridiculous amount of points. 97 not winning it, ridiculous amount of points. Does push him ahead of them other managers. So I think you probably have to put him fifth in all time, and I don't think even Liverpool fans can argue with that fact. Although they'll probably try.
Well, that's a good opportunity. If you are watching, pause the video and let us know your thoughts on all-time top 5 Prem managers. Is Klopp in the top 5? Is he in the top 3? Let us know your thoughts. Let's move on now to squad implications. So we've seen this quite a lot not just in the Prem, but in several different leagues across the world. When a manager leaves, you do get squad members who either follow or just simply leave the club. Is this a concern for Liverpool? We've seen some reports recently, I believe you quoted potentially Van Dijk's looking at leaving. We've obviously had Salah, who I appreciate you signing a new deal, but he was on the verge of leaving. Is there squad implications here, and could Liverpool actually end up losing players over this?
I think of course they probably see Klopp as a father figure. Let's be honest, he made them better players, right? So you're going to feel an awe to him. But I think we look at, say, when Ferguson left, no one really left. When Mourinho first left Chelsea, no one really left Chelsea. They carried on. They'll keep a core crux of players, and I think other than if Klopp's going to take a year out, so to speak, I don't see, say, Van Dijk following him in the summer.
That's a year off himself. Joins him on
exactly.
the
yeah, but I don't see him going to the Middle East or anything like that. So I think he'll stay. At the end of the day, the players, you'd be worried about Salah and Van Dijk leaving, but they are in their 30s. So they could probably extract very good value for them now anyway and start a rebuild if they really wanted to. It has implications, of course, but I think a lot of those players know that in reality, if Klopp wasn't there, they probably wouldn't be at Liverpool Football Club, and they probably wouldn't be at the level, not in a disrespectful way, but they probably wouldn't be at the level that they are. So they're probably better off staying, and I think they will.
I think it's difficult. I don't think you're going to get a mass exodus sort of going in the summer because Klopp's leaving, but all the players will be like, right, who's the new manager and what's he like? Because if you feel like, you know what, this is a rubbish appointment for whoever they bring in, or it's not working with me and him like it was with me and Klopp, that's when you might see the sort of, right, I've done my time here, I'm going. I'm going to tell FSG, look, I've done my time here, let me go. I'm not getting on with this manager. And that could happen with a few players, but you've also got the opposite of, like Reece said, they're both, like Salah and Van Dijk are probably the biggest two in that conversation. They're both over 30. How many years do they have left? Do either of them want to go for their final years, go play in their home country, or go and make absolute millions in Saudi? It's sort of like they're extra things that will play on players' minds, and the manager leaving, I think, will only increase that questioning in themselves.
But I don't. No, good.
No, yeah, go on.
I was just gonna say, like, I don't see Klopp poaching players anyway. Like, even if he goes to Real Madrid, I don't see him, or Barcelona or Bayern Munich, whatever. I don't see him taking players. He's not that kind of coach. He does seem to be quite loyal to the club and players he's had. Look when he left Dortmund. He didn't take Royce with him, didn't take, Hummels with him or whatever. He'd let the players stay there. I think he wants to just move to another club and again, start again, build his own project and stuff. So he's not that kind of manager to take them anyway. So leaving the club would be a bit strange because other than being reunited with Klopp, what's the point?
I think I
I don't think it
disagree
makes
though.
sense.
Why would he
Sorry?
like? Why is he going to leave to go to another managerial job? I
Yeah,
I do think it's genuine. I think he is just tired of it all, and
I think he
whether
wants a
he comes
break.
back after a year. Go on.
Like
What you saying, sorry?
if he, I think he wants a break. So if he wants a
Yeah.
break, he'll take a year off maybe, or he'll take an international job after the Euros, and that like possibly like let's say the German job becomes available. He could have that after the Euros because then he's got what a 2 year span of. It's not every game week like the Premier League is, or like any other club. I
What
think
about the
he
England
takes.
job? Let's throw that in the mix because we've debated this before and we jokingly said Pep, Klopp as England manager, Mourinho.
No.
Euros of
Germany,
this year.
Germany only for him. If he's going to go international, I don't see him
You've got to
taking
remember
that.
going from Liverpool to the England job won't do favours for him being supported by Liverpool because
Yeah.
they're not English, they're Scouse as they like to say. So it's if he went to the England job, some Liverpool fans would probably turn their nose up at it. They wouldn't be happy with him. So I agree with Reece. It'll probably be the German job or nothing, but that's only sort of like I think it's just if he wants to have a break, he won't even take the German job. He'll just be like, I'm having a break. Then once that happens, then I'll decide if I want to continue or even retire. Because he hasn't said he's retiring. It's not completely out of the ordinary if he does take another job, but I just think it'd be very unlikely because I don't think he would get any club that he goes to wouldn't give him as much, I don't know, like control as what he's probably got at Liverpool. You might be able to spend more money at other clubs, but I feel like everything is right. What does Klopp want? And we'll try it. We'll try and do that. And I don't think you're going to get that anywhere else straight away. I don't think it makes any sense.
Yeah. And in terms of infrastructure, let's wrap up with the bigger question potentially. Who can actually replace him? Let's cover the candidates, but also who we actually think makes sense. So some of the names that have sort of been quoted so far: Xabi Alonso, um, Steven Gerrard, of course. There's been a few other names like who else? I've completely my mind's gone blank, but there was at least 3 or 4 other names in the mix.
There was the assistant manager. I don't know his surname. He's another Pep. You could have Nagelsmann. Mourinho was another one that was chucked into that mix. I heard a great one of who's lost their job recently is Troy Deeney. He could be a great manager. He did so well at Forest Green. Why not? But if you're talking about the people we've just mentioned, I think at the moment it just makes sense for Xavi Alonso because he's doing well at the moment. And that's what I think the problem happened. Otherwise, it was going to be Gerrard, but he took the Villa job, and then it didn't go too well for him. And now he's in Saudi, and it's not going that great either. So if they get Gerrard, Liverpool fans will be like, "Woohoo, we've got a club legend," but will also be a bit skeptical on actually how good of a manager is he. He's probably not as good as Klopp. Whereas
Yeah.
Xabi Alonso is pushing Bayern ahead of Bayern currently in the league. So that gives them a bit more hope going that he can continue the success that Klopp's been having.
Yeah, I think they're in a tough position because the Gerrard one's very strange, and I would genuinely, again, Liverpool fans, if you're watching, do let us know your thoughts on Gerrard as a manager, because I remember it myself with obviously Lampard at Chelsea, and I was happy about the appointment, but in hindsight, he obviously wasn't ready and it didn't work out. But I was still happy to see him as club manager. It's a bit of a strange one, but I wonder how Liverpool fans would feel about Gerrard. Would they feel like we got a club legend, bringing the love to the club back, whatever? Or do you have reservations because he's not really done the job so far as a manager? I think that's genuinely an interesting one. But again, even Alonso, I believe current favourite. I mean, yeah, yes, look, what he's doing at Leverkusen is phenomenal, but is he a one season wonder? Would you really want after what, 60% of a season to hire him based on that? I still think that's a massive, massive gamble for Liverpool. So I'm not convinced he is the answer yet.
Yeah. I mean, you'd think Liverpool have some ideas in mind because this is, in a way, I would argue there's no real standout candidate currently out there. Look, Alonso's doing great. If he doesn't win the league, as far as I'm concerned, there's no point of pointing him because he couldn't get it over the line. This is his best chance to get it over the line. They've already looked like they're going to start chucking it away now. So maybe not him. Thomas Tuchel, maybe, but I think he's a bit more divisive, probably not what they're looking for. Mourinho, I don't think so. Um, who else we mentioned here? I think Ancelotti might even be in the frame if he leaves Real Madrid. But again, is he the answer of an evolution stage, going for someone who's older and experienced? I think you need maybe a stopgap manager. This is what often
And
happens
you've
when
got to
Wenger
remember,
left.
Ancelotti has been at Everton. That does.
I don't think that matters too much. I don't think that really matters. I mean, I look at it and I think you probably need a stopgap manager at this moment in time. Arsenal had it with Unai Emery. You could argue that City probably had it with Pellegrini before and Guardiola came in. So you do get those moments. So maybe they would go for a Gerrard for a year just to have the respect and to maybe because he probably would steady the ship, but I don't think they'd be that great. It's a tough one to call, really. They might even go for the current Borussia Dortmund coach. We don't know. Again, I think they're going to go for a stopgap approach. They used to appoint within, obviously, that used to be the Liverpool tradition. Maybe they do that, but they must have someone in mind. I think Alonso probably is the main candidate, but I personally think he shouldn't have a job unless he actually wins the league to show that he can get a club over the line, not just any club, an unfancied club like Leverkusen.
Yeah, it seems a bit flimsy. Let's chuck a few more names out who seem to be inevitably linked with every club. The Zerbi, I think he's been linked with every single manager job of any club in the world. Reese, what's your thoughts on the Zerbi again?
Well, judging by that sneeze, look, I know I've been critical of him in the past, but maybe with his style of play and the fact they wouldn't have to sell his players all the time, and with these better players at Liverpool, he probably could deliver. I personally don't see it. I personally don't think he is the right man for the job, but again, today he's probably got more credentials than other candidates, I suppose.
Yeah, I think he's more qualified than Alonso, and he kind of fits the bill as a Liverpool manager. Got that style of football. He kind of bit gritty, easy to hate him. Um, Jamie, anyone else from your side to throw in the mix?
Well, I guess your old manager, Potter, he's out of a
Yeah.
job. And then another one of your old managers, because he seems to just love following Klopp's career, Tuchel. You know, Mainz to Dortmund.
Hmm.
He went to England to Chelsea, obviously, but he could be like, you know what? I'll try and have his old job of Liverpool. Seems to like following him in that way. And then Klopp could go to Bayern. You never know. Could be a switcheroo
Yeah.
in that aspect. But I generally at the moment don't see anyone apart from Xavi Alonso just because he was an ex-player. I think that just confirms it for me. That's how I see it going at the moment because there's no massive standout candidates. That Liverpool aren't going to get a Mourinho, in my opinion, because he doesn't play in a Liverpool exciting way. I think Liverpool fans would turn on him quite quickly just from the style of football because Klopp's is attacking and Mourinho is more defensive. It's just I don't think it's the right fit. It's why I don't think it really worked at Spurs because Spurs want to attack, and they then went through Mourinho and Conte, two very defensive managers. So I really don't see past Xavi, Alonso, but I understand what Reece is saying with a gap stop. Gerrard could be the one, because like Chelsea kind of did with Lampard when you had your transfer ban. It just kind of that at that point it kind of made sense to have someone like that. So that's I don't see it past them two.
I've seen links to Roger Schmidt at Benfica, which to me would be a no. He's done a good job at Benfica, but he's still got the sack from Leverkusen. So when he is in a bit more competitive league, wasn't able to do it, but he does follow a Klopp style of play. I think the Sporting manager's probably the bloke with the most credentials, really, in Ruben Amorim. They're currently second in the league. They might win. They could win the league. He's won the league already. He's won multiple trophies with Sporting. He's actually made them a better club. He could probably be a good fit, but I think his buyout is quite expensive. So again, they might have to wait a year before they actually want to bring the man they want.
Yeah. Well, that is pretty much all we have time for this week. As always, we do want to hear from you. You know where to put your details. You know where to put your thoughts. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. You know the drill.